engagement program with the members of Oji Olowu Ojuwoye Local Council Development Area and the Lagos Island East LCDA CDC. DSVA Executive Secretary Titilola Vival Adeniyi encouraged the participants to, as first responder, report cases of abuse and around them rather than concealing the information when they witness them, so that together SGBV can be reduced to the barest minimum in their locality. Vival Adeniyi, who was represented by an officer of the Community Engagement Department of the agency, Adetomu Udutubo, emphasized the critical role of parents in curbing child abuse and highlighting the distinction between child discipline and child abuse. She affirmed the agency's commitment to combating sexual and gender-based violence in Lagos State, emphasizing on the agency's toll-free line 080-00333-3333 as a channel of reports. In the same vein, Ogun State Government has unveiled additional toll-free lines to enhance access to support services for survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Adijat Adeleye, said the additional lines were to ensure improved response time and provision of immediate medical, psychological, and legal assistance to victims through the sexual assault referral centers. Adeleye noted that the intervention underscores the state government's strong commitment to safeguarding the rights and dignity of all residents in the face of gender-based and sexual violence. While calling for support and cooperation of residents of the state, she insisted that Governor Dapo Abiodun's administration remains resolute in enforcing strict penalties for offenders while continuously enhancing the support systems for survivors. President Bola Tinubu will on Wednesday depart for Paris, France, on a 2-week working visit. Special Advisor on Information and Strategy to the President, Bayo Ononuga, explained that during the visit, the President will appraise his administration's mid-term performance and address key milestones. Ononuga said President Tinubu will also use the retreat to review the progress of ongoing reforms and engage in strategic planning ahead of his administration's second anniversary. The federal government has called on international oil companies, IOCs, operating in Nigeria to ramp up investment in the country's oil and gas sector. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Heineken Lokobori, stated this at the Cross-Industry Group meeting held in Florence, Italy, organized by IOCs operating in Nigeria. Lokobori emphasized that the administration of President Bola Tinubu has provided every necessary incentive to ensure seamless and profitable operations. He emphasized the need for IOCs to support local refining efforts, noting that more refineries are coming on stream and will require a steady supply of crude oil. According to him, to make this easy and possible, ramping up production will enable the country to meet both local and international obligations. And now to the rest of the story. Minister of Interior Olubomi Tunjiojo has called for collaboration with the Sahel West African countries on information and data sharing for effective border control. He made the call while addressing newsmen on the sidelines of the summit on border security in London. Tunjiojo said organized immigration crimes are peculiar to any nation, but cut across, hence the need for collaboration and shared solutions. According to him, the country has automated its border control solutions, and there are more measures in place to ensure borders are secured, thereby ending irregular migration. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Immigration Service, NIS, has arrested 51 irregular migrants from Mali in Karo local government area in Nasarawa State. NIS spokesman Akinshola Akinlabi said the migrants include 11 females and 40 males aged between 16 and 19. Akinlabi noted that they were found without travel documents or residence permits. Stressed that the arrested individuals have been taken into the custody for further profiling and investigations to determine the circumstances of their migration and any potential involvement of trafficking or smuggling networks or syndicates. And in foreign news, Niger Republic's military leaders have released more than 50 detainees, including former ministers in the government they toppled in 2023. Among them are former ministers of defense, oil and finance, as well as several senior army officers convicted or accused of plotting previous coups. Ousted President Mohamed Bazoum, who has been under house arrest since 2023 military takeover, was not on the list of those released despite international calls for him to be freed. When asked about President Bazoum's continued detention, Justice Minister Aliyu Dauda cited national security and sovereignty concerns. Bazoum is accused of undermining national security and high treason. The release of the others is among the recommendations of a national conference held in February, along with extending the rule of General Abdurrahman Tiani by 5 years. And in sport, Ghana's Minister for Sports and Recreation, Kofi Adams, has announced plans to establish an investigative committee to examine the circumstances surrounding the tragic death of Nigerian boxer Segun Olarawaju. Olarawaju collapsed in the third round of his bout against Ghanaian opponent John Mbanugo during Fight Night 15 of the Ghana Professional Boxing League at Bukum Boxing Arena in Accra on March 29. Speaking during an interview, Adams emphasized the government's commitment to uncovering the facts while assuring the public that the investigation will be thorough and transparent. He also called for full cooperation from both Nigerian and Ghanaian boxing authorities once the investigative panel is officially formed. Olarawaju, a former West African national light heavyweight champion, had a professional record of 24 fights with 13 wins, 8 losses, and 3 draws. Just before we go, remember, speed thrills but kills. Please avoid excessive speeding. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms: X at Traffic Radio 961, Facebook, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, Instagram, Lagos Traffic Radio 961. Subscribe and watch our news live on YouTube, Traffic Radio 961. You can also visit our website, www.trafficradio961.ng. Did you know that the Zonlo administration upgraded 2 higher institutions to universities? You can get more details on the Lagos State Government website. To end the news, here are the highlights of the major stories. The Lagos State Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture has extended its focus on leveraging entertainment to drive trade as the state NBC Trade Fair is set to become Nigeria's largest trade and commerce gathering. Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunjiojo has called for collaboration with the Sahel and West African countries on information and data sharing for effective border control. We also told you that Niger's Republic's military leaders have released more than 50 detainees, including former ministers in the government they toppled in 2023. And in sport, Ghana's Minister for Sports and Recreation, Kofi Adams, has announced plans to establish an investigative committee to examine the circumstances surrounding the tragic death of Nigerian boxer Segun Olarewaju. For contact to the newsroom, send a message to info@trafficradio961.ng. That is the news broadcast compiled by Adewale Olowokoroku. I am Sarah Adesanya. Thank you for listening and God bless you.